This should be a fun group.
What's going on, people?
Hey. How you doing, Brandon?
Hello.
Oh yeah, we got Jacob with us.
What's up?
What's up, man? Is your background orange, or is that red?
I don't have one of those new fancy computers that gives me a background on mine. And if I was
tax money paid for this.
if I was at Orange Theory right now, it'd be a lot of music because we have classes going on right now.
Safe classes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
I brag about you guys about because I'm trying to convince industries that there's safe ways to deliver like services, and our cosmetology and really our gym industries are just doing better in Wichita than Austin, Texas, where if you survey physicians here versus physicians in Austin, Texas, these seem safer activities according to physicians in Wichita than they are there. And it's because I think our industry just got it together and figured out, okay, what's the best way to do this without, the safest way. And gym industry and also cosmetology really just knocked it out of the park compared to other areas.
We have several physicians and nurses that are members of Orange Theory, and they continue to come back, and they've even brought some of their colleagues in too because of what we've been doing.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of those where the who is it? Dr. Men's over at the county. We're in a red zone right now because we're still up around 10%, and we're supposed to close down gyms, bars, and one other thing. And he won't touch gyms because we don't have outbreaks. We're so far so good. So really glad what you guys are doing, and also that's part of the reason why I want you on this call as a member of that business community. So I'm glad that you're able to hop on and give us a little bit every other week.
No, I appreciate it. Andy, it's good to see you. I've not seen you in a while. I need your
hiding out.
Andy, is your mic working? I only kind of heard you.
Can you hear me now?
Sure can.
Sorry about that.
Oh, awesome. All right, who else do we got in the call? Hi, Sarah. How's the open air stuff going?
Good. We got the permit approved. Now I just need to get more tables and chairs.
You know about Sparks Grant, right? That's why we got Bell on his call. He's going to tell us all about the free money.
Yes, I applied for my free money, so hopefully
Good. Good. Awesome.
Good deal. Morning, everybody. Morning, Mayor.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Yeah, I don't know yet. My kids been out of town. My wife and kids have been out of town for a few days. And the wife told me, make sure when you come back, the house is clean. And it's not. It's not at all. And so she just called. I got it looks like I didn't take off a little early today. So I was going to get out and try to go clean the kitchen at least, good faith effort. And she just called, and apparently for the first time ever, she got all the kids ready and in the car and on the way back by 9 o'clock. So I got this 4 to 5 hour countdown down to get done at City Hall, get home, clean at least a little bit, right, to make it look like I didn't completely ignore her. But yeah, I have not been living well with them gone either. It's total college days again, where it's a plate of dinner is a plate of I don't know, tortilla chips and melted cheese. It's just sad. But anyways, that's my honest answer. I hope everything's going good with you.
No, everything's good. I'm good. Everything's good. Personally, everything's good. And here in the office, our call volume has kind of decreased in recent weeks, because the disaster resources, some of the resources are not there anymore, like the PPP program. So yeah, things are, I think we're at a better place right now. At least we've got time to focus on some internal things before maybe there's another uptick or what have you in the fall.
Yeah, very good. We and we got the Spark stuff coming through. I think we'll talk about that, but I'm hoping I'm going to lean on you guys, send people your way, and such as we get closer with the details on that. So
Okay.
all right, well, let's oh cool, I got my agenda right here. Like, let me find my agenda for the next 10 minutes. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Usually we try to do this for about an hour. We usually go over about 15 minutes, roughly. If someone has to get off right on the hour, that's completely understandable. This group is a bit more kind of free-flowing. We have an agenda, we usually have goals to meet, and we share the workload, really, where the goal is to have pretty much a plug-in with the business community, those on the ground in the business community, those who own small businesses or are working, and to the elected part of our government. As you guys know, our government's really broken off into two sections. We have the electeds, which run the policy, and then we have the administration, which runs pretty much everything else. Usually the administration is pretty well plugged in with like the established groups in our community, like the partnership, the Chamber of Commerce. Those are really kind of established groups who in Wichita State. My job, although I don't mind those groups as well, I also want to be interacting with folks who are on the ground, who are really day-to-day dealing with some of the changes with the coronavirus, giving feedback on the economy. I believe we got to be focusing more on small businesses to grow our economy. I think that we've been using kind of the same strategy for the last 10 years and we haven't gotten as much back from it. So I want to kind of create a different strategy that can be utilized alongside of our current strategy. And a lot of that is getting to know what's out there and what's happening. Just a brief bit about me. I have my doctorate degree focused on qualitative research methods, which means you go out and you actually hear stories and then like you analyze those stories and you pull out the information that's needed to make policy. So being able to, ask questions and get to know folks and what they're going through on the business level for this group, that provides me a higher level of information than just statistical data would. And which is good because Bob over on the administration side, he's really heavy on statistical data, on quantitative research. I'm heavy on qualitative research, and if we do it right, we'll come out with good policy. So that's part of this group. This group, and we're going to go through and introduce the new members and also the continuing members. But this group is usually 3 months is what we have asked for a commitment on. It's every other week unless something crazy happens, we'll get you on more. But really every other week for 3 months, and then you can be reappointed if you would like to be. The goal of that is to kind of, depending on what's happening economically, refresh people. Refresh where in the beginning, I think the coronavirus, it looked like it was going to be really heavy on cosmetology and barber industries. And we had a lot of folks from that industry to have kind of that direct line on, hey, what's happening and what can we do at the city level, but also within that industry to help them through this. And they really, as an industry, rose to the occasion. I remember back in the beginning, cosmetology was kind of on that list of things that might have been perceived as dangerous, and then they just kind of scoffed at that, where, hey, we know how to disinfect, we know how to keep things clean, and they went above and beyond, and we don't have clusters coming out of hair salons. Like, they completely, just rose to the occasion and made everything, I think, safe from the coronavirus. They even had certifications that they would offer in other trainings. So now I'm kind of getting into bar and entertainment, and also fitness, because I think that those industries, although we're doing well in Wichita, are other ones that might get targeted or when it comes to the county or the state when it comes to restrictions. So I'm trying to weave in some more folks there as well to kind of make sure that what we're doing has the intended effects. So let's go ahead and introduce. I got a list, so I'm just going to name off what we got. Let's introduce the new members. Just pretty much tell us your name and just something about yourself, maybe what industry you're in. So Shannon Boone.
Hi guys. I am an event planner. I own Shea Chic Productions. And so my world for the last 6 months has pretty much just come to a screeching halt and doesn't look like it's going to restart anytime soon. So lots of Zoom meetings and planning the unplannable.
Welcome. Sorry about, hopefully we'll get things better. Sorry about your industry because no one's getting together right now, so it's tough to plan stuff. So very sorry about that. But
I'm delivering parties in boxes to people's doors, so it's okay.
Okay. Also, just the adaptations people have done is pretty amazing. I don't think it's not enough, I think, to kind of completely fill, what the original business model was, but just the stuff that you see people, the innovation has been really interesting to watch creativeness out of our community. Andrew, how do I say your last name? Goff. Andrew Goff.
Yeah, I own Reverie Coffee Roasters and Founders Bakery, and I don't know, what else did you want me to say?
That's about it. Yeah. Have you guys been able to stay open during this time, or have you adapted?
Well, like most of us in the food service, we probably shut down for a temporary period of time, like a couple of weeks, and then we reopened very slowly, partially, and then added a makeshift drive-through, which that lasted about 6 weeks, and then we reopened to carry out only, and that's where we are today.
Okay.
So that's our retail side of our business. Our wholesale business never really stopped. So although it's dramatically down, so.
People shouldn't be drinking less coffee. So interesting. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And I got Adam Harkey, but it seems like we might have Miss Harkey on. Your last name's Harkey, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm Jesse Harkey. My husband's Adam. He will be on in a moment. He has a standing call at 9 a.m. with our lobbyist in Washington. So as soon as that's done, he'll be here. We are owners at Wave and the Cotillion. We shut down March 13th. And if we're open with a year from now, I'll be ecstatic. It's really bad right now.
No, it absolutely is. It's pretty awful when we think about in the beginning of this, just how scary it was, but also, all right, let's go through the hardship now and we'll get over it faster. And as a policymaker, kind of watching those numbers slip away, we got ahead of it, and I'm tweeting about it and trying to kind of get that message out where we got ahead of this, we opened up too fast, and then those numbers just started slipping where it's like, next week we're going to lose all the ground that we've had, and then like it happened. And I don't know, very sorry for your industry, but particularly for everyone, where I think we were doing really well, and then this thing just kept spreading. I mean, it's a virus, that's what it does, but it doesn't make it any easier. Ali, I don't know if this person is on. I don't see him. Okay. Sarah Leslie. Can't hear you. Oh no. Is it? You're not muted on my end. It doesn't show you muted. I don't know. You were working. All right, I don't know. Maybe I'll kick back on. Sorry, we can't really hear you. Anyways, welcome. We're glad you're here. Miles. Titan.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I can.
All right. My name is Tyson Miles. I'm the owner of Core Monitoring. We are a public safety, community safety company that offers local governments, courts across the state of Kansas, electronic monitoring service or house arrest devices for offenders. Very happy and pleased to be here, and I'm excited about the conversation on how we as a community can stay engaged and restore the pathways of economic success to the small business. Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity, and I look forward to some hard work over the next few months.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you taking the time. Brooke Russell.
Hey everyone. So I just sent a message that I've got a couple of things going on at the same time, so I'm just going to be listening in today. But I am one of the owners of Public at the Brickyard, and we are currently open, luckily. So we're one of the lucky ones, although it's been very difficult. So obviously people aren't wanting to go out as much, and there's been a lot of difficulty with getting everyone to follow the rules. I'm a little nervous about this weekend just with bars opening, although I'm happy that everyone gets the opportunity to do things right. It's certainly a little nerve-wracking, but I'm happy to be involved, and like I said, I'll be kind of listening in today, and then I'll email any thoughts that I have afterwards.
Of course, and we're glad to have you here. I'll just say that Brooke is one of the people where some of my interactions with some of the bar owners, and I want to just really make that known. This is a very small percentage, has been very resistant to change. We're almost in denial that bringing people together for drinks within 6 feet of each other for 10 minutes or longer causes the coronavirus to spread. And Brooke is not one of those people. She's been, I think, really trying to adapt to this, which is one of the reasons why, we are fortunate to have her on the call or on this meeting, is that, we want industry leaders who are trying different things to keep customers safe, so that maybe, if it's working, we can emulate that in other areas. So thanks for being on, and we will try not to ask you any direct questions so that you can do things at once.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Jacob.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My wife and I are the owners of Orange Theory Fitness. We are a group fitness studio located in Northwest Wichita on 29th and Mays, and East Wichita 13th and Webb. We purchased back in January, so it's kind of been a whirlwind. We closed on March 21st. We're closed for 66 days, and then we reopened at half capacity and have been at half capacity classes ever since, and have a lot of precautions in place for our members right now, with people wearing masks while they're in the studio. We deep clean the studio between every class, and we also electrostatic spray our studio on a weekly basis too.
Excellent. We're glad you're on the call. Jacob, I actually met when I was campaigning. I think he's Jacob. What other group do you? I want to say you head it, but you might just be, you might just be one of the people who are promoting it.
Was it the most recent one with Gruber Labs that they did with the tech focus? Is that what you're referring to?
No, I thought I thought there was some business or entrepreneurial group. Maybe it wasn't an official group, but I thought you were the head of some kind of business type, younger.
Okay, Connecting ICT?
That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Connecting ICT is another group I'm a part of. It is a group of, I would say, mid-career professionals that are between the ages of probably 30 and 45. They've graduated from Young Professionals of Wichita, which is now known as W, and kind of a place for them to connect professionally to retain talent within the city. So prior to COVID, we had quite a few in-person events, and we would bring topics to the table that needed to be discussed. I mean, we've had, the mayor involved, we've had people from the Greater Wichita Partnership involved. And the whole goal with that is to give these mid-career professionals who will soon be the leaders of Wichita their voice to be heard, so we can retain them in Wichita and give them ownership of this city. And so that's really what Connecting ICT does. I'm also involved in a group called Startup Grind, where we, before the pandemic, we would host entrepreneurs from the community to share their story about how they grew their business in Wichita.
Excellent. Very good. All right, now we're going to get into our continuing members. These are folks who were on our first 3 months who will be continuing forward with us. Amber.
Amber Beck. I'm the executive director for Wichita Women's Initiative Network. We work with survivors of domestic violence to get them transitional employment.
Excellent. Mr. Wayne Bell.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. And it's great to see some of the familiar faces I haven't talked to in a while. I'm Wayne Bell with the Small Business Administration, and I'm the district director for the SBA here in town. As you all know, we work with, small business owners, other stakeholders such as our local government officials, our congressional delegation, as well as the chamber and other groups that support small business. We work very closely with the lending community, and in a bit, I'll talk to you about some resources that are still available for those of you that are affected by COVID. So it's great to be with you today, and thank you, Mayor Whipple, for the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Ian.
Hey everybody, Ian Demery here. I am the owner of DNS Karaoke, which is a private DJ karaoke and wedding service company. I am also a public school educator for USD 261 and a live musician here in the Wichita area.
Thank you for being on for a second term. Felicia, Mr. Spain.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Good morning, everyone. Hi.
Yeah, you're good. It was crackly, but it's good.
Is that better?
Yes.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Felicia Despain. I am the owner operator of Urban Jack's Barber Spa. We are located just east of 21st and Rock Road, and I am happy to stay on this committee. I feel like we've gotten, we've at least been able to talk about some things that have been important, I think, to all of us. So I'm interested to see kind of where having some new opinions and new insight on things for our community will take us after this next 3 months. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Miss Kara Kaufman.
Hey everybody, my name is Kara Kaufman. I'm the executive director of Dress for Success Wichita. We serve all women of working age in primarily the Sedgwick County area, but we are the only nonprofit in Kansas that offers both professional attire and development tools to women. So that's what we do. Looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Excellent. I'm glad to have you. Joey.
Good morning. This is Joey Kate Laurie, and I am a realtor with Reese Nichols, South Central Kansas, and this is my second term.
Welcome. Janelle. Is Robinson on?
Yeah, I am. I'm slow. Haven't had my coffee. Janelle Robertson. I'm the owner of the Trove Total Body Studio. We are at Central and Rock Road, kind of behind a donut shop, which is a bad business plan. We do massage therapy and bodywork services, and I'm partnered up with a group that's also called Vital Bodywork Studios. So there's a collective of 5 of us that all do different forms of bodywork services. So glad to be part of this for a second term.
Excellent. And Faye? Are you on? All right, I guess not. All right, so the last thing I'm going to say before we get on with the agenda, and hopefully everyone got the agenda, we try to stick to this so it just doesn't, so we stay productive. So you should get the agenda each week. Also, I believe there's a Facebook group that you'll be invited to so that we can stay in touch. The last thing I do want to touch on is that these are recorded and they're streamed. So these are public meetings, pretty much. The new folks particularly, you will be named from the bench, which means that you will be voted on and approved by the entire council, which means this is official. And so we have to have open meetings. We have to, for transparency's sake and so on. I tell you that because sometimes I think we get a little lax when it comes to, at least I do. By the way, I have no filter at all. I think most people know that. Get a little lax when it comes to the Zooms, but just don't get too relaxed, I guess, because sometimes the media watches this and they tell stories or write stories about it, and that's okay because we're we're government. We want to be open, but I just wanted to remind everyone else that as well. So with that, we'll get into our open air. Update on open air. It's our outdoor dining and entertainment permit process. We talked a bit. Sarah was able to be our prop, where we went out there and brought a whole news crew to sign Sarah up as she. Of course, Sarah was just trying to work that day, and we wound up taking up like 2 hours of her time. But anyways, it's one of those policies that we had after getting some feedback from I guess industry leaders and also the bars, where if you're outside, you can do better social distancing, and it's easier for you to not catch COVID, right? Like the I guess droplets that carry the virus circulate less, they evaporate. So we created a policy or an ordinance. It was actually more complicated than I thought, that would allow for outdoor dining. And we are supposed to have Gary Jansen from Public Works on to help explain that. If not, I can briefly explain it. Jan, do we got Gary on?
I had to take a phone call, but he said he would come back later.
Oh, yeah, take a phone call. Did you remind him that he's supposed to be on here with the mayor? I noticed there's another mayor calling him.
Apologetic.
Was he apologetic?
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, we'll just skip. Is he going to come back on? Should I skip him, or should I just kind of do his job for him?
He's going to come back.
Okay, awesome. All right, so with that, then we're going to go ahead and skip item 3. If there's no objections, we'll go right to item 4. And then hopefully when Gary is done talking to someone who's more important than us, we can get back to, we'll get back to his item. So item 4 is updates on the federal funding, including Sparks funding from our residential policy expert on business funding, Mr. Wayne Bell. Mr. Bell, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. So again, we've got a few resources available at the moment through the SBA. I think there's one that has kind of gone under the radar, but this is a significant benefit, and it's the waiver of, or it's the coverage of 6 months of payments on all loans, and that's for any existing SBA loan or any new SBA loan now up until September 27th. So that's the principal and interest payments associated with those loans is being paid by the SBA. So if you're a business owner, if you've already taken advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program, perhaps you've already received an economic injury disaster loan, this is another thing to think about. Or if you're a business owner that maybe you're looking, I'll use Jacob Wayman as an example. Maybe there's another facility that you're looking at, Jacob, or some expansion in some form. This is a time to really think about utilizing SBA, because the CARES Act provided us additional resources to continue to help businesses, and this is one of those debt relief options that we have. So if anyone, or if you have colleagues or others in your network that could benefit from this, have them reach out to us. They can simply get in touch with me. If you go to sba.gov, our local district office can be found there, the Wichita district office, and then you can get to me pretty quickly. Time is of the essence, because the loans have to be dispersed by September 27th of 2020. And unless there's a legislative update, that benefit is there, and that's the way that it is. That's the date that the funds have to be dispersed on all loans to take advantage of that benefit. And then I want to talk very briefly about the Spark funding that's available now through the state. So Governor Laura Kelly announced earlier this month that approximately $130 million is available now through the state. And so the state has stood up a portal to accept applications, and you can find out more if you go to the Kansas Department of Commerce's website, so kansascommerce.gov, and then it's the COVID relief funding options that they have. And I'll just read the headers of the grant funding that's available. And again, this is for small businesses, and this will come out of the $130 million funding. But there are working capital grants. There is a grant for securing local food systems for PPE, personal protection equipment. There are grants for that. So I would recommend you guys check it out. There's a connectivity emergency response grant, a broadband partnership adoption grant, and then a PPE for manufacturing entities. So I recommend you all check out the website, step through those grant applications. Another part of this that's really important, for these applications, you will have to substantiate the need. So in order to do that, I recommend reaching out to the Kansas Small Business Development Center. That's a local free resource that's available to help you perhaps with the planning requirements, or if you need to put together financials, that kind of thing. They can help you with those documents and that information that's required to substantiate the application. Time is of the essence because this is going to be first come, first serve. So I recommend if there are any of you business owners, or again, others in your network are interested in these grants, you can certainly reach out to us, and we're going to get you connected to those resource partners that can help you with putting together the information you're going to need to move forward with the grant application. So I'll pause there, and Mayor, unless you've got questions or if others have questions.
I got a question.
We'll go to Jacob and then Amber.
So 2 questions on the SBA, the relief that they have. So my bank actually automatically put us on that relief back when we had closed. And so my 6 month is going to be up here in September, October. Is there any talks of that being extended or able to get more relief on our SBA loans? Because, for example, with Orange Theory, with us being at half capacity, we have a limited amount of people that are paying membership dues right now. So is there talks of that being extended? And then on the Sparks grant, you may not be able to answer this, maybe more Department of Commerce, but I did the application and we didn't exist in 2019, or my business didn't exist, our EIN number didn't exist. And so we didn't have a lot of input on there. So I'm not sure if they'll weigh that or not weigh that because we didn't exist in 2019.
So I want to first answer the first question in terms of additional debt relief beyond the 6 months of payments. Right now, here's what the SBA has. There's approximately $130 billion that is still uncommitted associated with the Paycheck Protection Program. So I know that there's conversation between our legislators, and Congress in general. I know that I anticipate something coming, but at the moment, PPP is not accepting new applications, and the debt relief that I mentioned, again, the sunset on that is September 27th. But I suspect because there are funds that are still uncommitted, and obviously because the needs for assistance still remain, I suspect there's going to be additional modifications and additional tools for us, but we just don't have anything firm at the moment. So Jacob, just stay tuned, and we'll be sure to push out everything. And if you have any specific questions, reach out to us directly. And then on the Kansas Department of Commerce, I'm not sure about exactly how that's going to affect you. You said your company was not established in 2019?
Correct. We purchased the business, and so we had to set up a separate entity to purchase the business. So we have no financials, no data.
Understood. Yeah, I don't have the answer to that one, and perhaps I don't know if there's anyone else. Maybe I don't know if Amber, if you can help me out on that one, greatly appreciate it. So I'll let Amber take it away.
Floor is yours, Amber.
So just FYI, by the time that grant opportunities came out on Wednesday at noon. By 6 o'clock, they had 3,600 applications by that time alone. So I hate to be the State Department right now to try to go through those. Jacob, that should not hurt your ability because most people applied for the loss of the 25% of income is the majority of what was applied for. There's probably very few. Mayor, I do like the background, by the way. There's probably very few that applied for some of the other manufacturing and that kind of ones, but so it's not going to hurt your, as long as you answered the questions, it's not going to hurt your ability. And they didn't ask a whole lot of financial questions on it. It was a very simple one to write. You only had 1,000 characteristics on most of those groups. And so, so it really, this one was one of the easier ones to have. And a lot of people weren't established in 2019 anyway. So that you should be fine.
It did give me a lot of room to actually explain myself and explain our situation. So I did appreciate that.
Yeah. So it shouldn't hurt your, because what they're really looking for is really that loss of that 25%. I'm assuming that's what the majority of the small businesses will apply for. So, and I do know it is first come, first serve. So hopefully you guys got it in fairly fast.
Tython, were you jumping in, Tython? I thought I saw something. I thought I saw your little box light up.
Nope, not yet.
So just real quick on the Sparks stuff, I got word about roughly what was going on a few weeks ago from one of our Wichita folks who was negotiating this at the state level. She told me that the application is somewhat lengthy and that we need to get this information out, particularly to small businesses who may not have like a tax firm or professionals who are looking out for this stuff, so that they can get going on that application early on. During this pandemic, one of the things I've noticed as mayor is that businesses that really are plugged in, that have, I guess, professional help when it comes to taxation, when it comes to looking for this stuff, have been doing better than smaller businesses who might not actually know what's out there or how to get it. So one of the things I think we should be working on as a community here is to let other folks utilize our own, I guess, social media circles, our own community circles to try to get this information out. Because this is first come, first serve, we got to make sure Wichita gets its fair share. That's my biggest peeve right now is that we have I don't have a data list of all the businesses in Wichita. And I'm not going to be able to make one, right? Like, because there's some pushback. But other cities do, and they're able to send out like a letter to every business in their city and say, hey, this is what's coming up. This is the application. Make sure you look for it. We have to use more of a communication tree, right? Like where we got a branch over here that goes to that industry, one over here that goes to this industry. Let's try to get this information out, even if it's stuff that might not be able to help a particular, I guess, colleague. Maybe when they get it out, it will help someone else down on their branch. So, with that, everything keeps changing. And luckily we got Mr. Bella on the call. It's just funny because Wayne was one of those guys who at the end I was told, hey, you should look at this guy and appoint him. And I just like randomly reached out to him like, hey, do you want to be on this? And I think it was Jonathan Long maybe told me about you. What someone told me about you, or maybe it was Loney the plumber. And turns out like you're someone who knows all of the ins and outs of these federal programs. So you've been kind of essential to this. But reach out to Wayne. He might not be able to tell you everything about it because I'm sure he has a real job, but he can at least, like he's doing here, direct you towards the organizations that are talking about this stuff or can help you through it. And also
Mayor, I can help too.
And Amber, yes, awesome. And also the Chamber of Commerce has a website, or the Wichita Chamber of Commerce, where they've really done a good job, I think, putting together all that resources in one section. So definitely let's get the word out pretty much. All right, do we have Gary Jansen came on? So if we're done with that item, we're going to go back to item 3 so Gary can tell us about the open air policy. Gary, we're glad you made it.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I was on earlier. Sorry, I hope you didn't have to rearrange your schedule too much. I had two things I was trying to do and do at once, and I was not successful in either one of them, to be honest with you. But I'm here. So I take it you want me to just chat a little bit about our open air ICT permit?
Yeah, just kind of get. We have members on this who are in the entertainment industry, the bar industry, restaurants, and I know this isn't just limited to that, but just roughly tell us what it is and how people can apply for it and how easy it is to get.
Sure, absolutely. So, we had a goal with this program. We had seen what several other countries, several larger cities across the country have done. They've been pretty successful with it too, as far as allowing businesses to utilize public space to expand their footprint, if you will, even on a temporary basis, to provide space for social distancing, to provide more exposure for the businesses. So this is focused primarily on restaurants, bars, and retail. There's a lot of flexibility built into this, and we're trying to make sure we do that. We've created what we think is a streamlined process. It's quick and easy. So far, it's working really well. And I know Sarah got involved in this, and hopefully she felt that it was fairly painless. I know I approved her permit just the other day. So, we had prior to COVID, we had what was called a sidewalk cafe permit process. There's about 25 businesses, primarily in the core area, that currently have a permit for a sidewalk cafe. And that was basically the same thing, utilizing public space. That was primarily for restaurants and bars. We had some parts of the policy in place. These have been in place since Chris Churches was the city manager. And it was specific to the type of furniture you could use, the type of fencing. He wanted everybody to be consistent in what they had. It's black steel furniture. And I think it works well, but that's not going to lend itself very well to a quick and easy process now. So what we did is open that up, provide more flexibility. We've got an online process now, which we didn't previously. Wichita.gov/open-air-ICT. It's self-explanatory. There's a place on there where you can fill out a permit. There's frequently asked questions. There's a lot of good information that shows what other communities have done to give you an idea what you can do. So we've showed even some pictures and some things. You heard me talk about types of furniture and all that. We asked that a map be submitted. It can be a handwritten basic map. All we're looking for is to show the area that's to be utilized and effectively what for. There's some things that go with this, including providing pedestrian access, meeting ADA compliance. Those are things that we can work through with you, and those are included in the directions. But what happens is once the permit is submitted, we have staff who will come out. Anybody who has submitted an application on site, we'll walk you through it, figure out if there's anything we're missing, get it all submitted. It comes to me, we approve it, and keep moving. We've got about a handful to a half dozen now that have been approved, and I think we've been able to do most of those, certainly within less than a week. And our goal has been, to be able to do that within 2 to 3 days. With the bars being able to open back up, at least to partial capacity, we had talked to multiple bar owners who were wanting to be ready and be prepared for this. And so we've been working with them so that they could hopefully have something in place. So it's exciting. The only cost, there's no fees associated with this. Our normal sidewalk cafe permit, it's $36 per chair annual fee. There's an upfront fee. All of that is being waived. For the 25 businesses who currently have a sidewalk cafe permit, their fees are being waived for the next year. And my hope, certainly our hope is, no matter what happens with COVID here, by this time next year, I think we'll have a new and improved process to make this a lot easier going forward for everybody to be able to utilize public space the best they can. So with that, I might see if there's any questions, any thoughts. We're here to help. I think this is working well so far, and we're excited to be able to keep this going.
And this is also one of those things we got to get the word out about. I think we only had like 7 or less than 10 applicants as of the beginning of this week. Not only does this make it safer during COVID, but also it would be cool if more people took advantage of this, right? Like, I think we're making kind of a cool atmosphere. So hopefully, if it goes well, it's something we can hang on to even after COVID. But any questions for Gary?
Yeah.
Janelle, go ahead.
Is there going to be any way to engage musicians in live music, which is another sector that's been hit pretty hard with this open air?
You know, I would tell you from my perspective, I don't know that that's something, it's certainly not my office. I'm not, and I can't speak necessarily for the organization. This space can be utilized for whatever people really want to use it for. And so if the business has the ability to do that, except for dealing with the noise ordinance, which shouldn't be too big of an issue, I think that's a possibility. We've had that question asked. You know, we've had the question asked too about, well, what happens when it's not as warm outside? But we would allow awnings, whatever it might be, something to put a partial roof over these space heaters to be able to utilize this space more during the year. But we're trying to be as absolutely flexible as possible for what the space can be used for. And one thing I might mention too, we talked about public space, and I know this isn't germane to your question, but it made me think about it. Off-street private parking can also be utilized. Zoning code requires a certain amount of parking for the type and size of the facility. We're allowing 50% of the parking to be used temporarily. I mean, you obviously still got to have a place for your patrons to park, but you could use up to 50% of your required parking by the zoning code also for the same use. And we've had some real interest in that. But to answer your first question, I don't see that's a problem at all. We would welcome that and encourage that.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll ask a quick question. We'll keep moving on unless there's other questions. So when bars have to now meet 50% capacity, if they were to expand out to, let's say, their parking lot, that capacity doesn't take away from the 50% that's inside the building, right?
That's a great question, Mayor. We've been asked that. The best we can tell so far is yes, I would agree with you. Again, in trying to be flexible, we're not trying to bend any rules from the county, but that is the way we view it. Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna say no comments about the county. So every time I do, I get a mean text message. Okay, good.
Mention one more quick thing, sorry. Just some specifics, because this really helps, and it helps on cost. You heard me talk before on the Sidewalk Cafe. If you go downtown right now, again, you'll see all of them look about the same. And you'll see all these black steel fences and wrought iron furniture and stuff. Here's literally what the permit says. It says for furniture, you either need to have something anchored down or just make sure it doesn't blow into your neighbor's property. So we're allowing you to do just about anything you want. If you are going to serve alcohol on public property and public space, that's part of your license with the ABC. We don't get a part of that, but as long as you're licensed to do that, the state law says that you have to have some type of barricade, and literally what they say in the statute is it has to be a three-dimensional object. Well, what that means, you can put a couple of planters out there and run a rope between them. And that is considered an acceptable barricade. And I just wanted to mention that to everybody because it can be really, really limited on what you are required to have to be able to still serve alcohol. And you can find whatever works best for you for people to sit on to be able to use that space. And so far we've seen that. We want to do whatever we can to make this as easy as possible.
Excellent. So you're pretty much erring on the side of getting more people signed up. So it's excellent. All right, any more questions for Gary? Excellent. We're going to start hammering through this because I know that we're getting close to our time here. Testing, I'll just do a quick update on the testing. We don't have anyone in the county here, but Central County website provides a list of the testing sites. And you still have to call 211 to schedule a testing appointment. So if you or someone have COVID symptoms and you think you need to get tested, call 211. They are now investing in I guess, a lab over at Wichita State to try to have faster testing. That's going to be a game changer, and also saliva testing. So I don't know if anyone's had a corona test. I've had 4 of them. And they pretty much like stick this thing further back in your nose than you think your nose goes. It's pretty uncomfortable. But the saliva test, that's going to, I think, really help. Also, having a local lab for faster turnaround, that's going to be a game changer for us. One of the things I'm going to add, and this is some conversations we're having in the background, is trying to encourage people to get a flu shot. And are there ways that we can offer a flu shot, maybe through like a drive-through, that's you don't have to get out. And the reason is because on a call, I was on a Zoom with my Harvard. I took a mayor's class, how to be mayor, with Harvard and a bunch of other mayors. And pretty much it was reported that the symptoms for the flu this year and the symptoms for COVID are almost going to be identical. So if we can get more people to get a flu shot, we can, I think, lower what's going to be a rush on COVID tests, and also really hopefully have less people in the hospital, right? Like if you have a really bad bout with the flu and you think you have COVID and you're in the hospital and it's taking a while for you to test, you're taking up, not sound rude, you're taking up space, right? Like we only have so many beds. So if there are folks who, my wife doesn't take a flu shot for some reason, I do every year. But if you're someone who takes a flu shot and you're not against it, encouraging people to still get that flu shot, I think is going to be a big push for keeping our community healthy, particularly during COVID. And hopefully it won't start taking up some of the resources we've set aside for COVID. But 211 is what you call. If you call and you have flu-like symptoms, then they will also associate those symptoms with COVID. So that's why we want to kind of push a flu shot. And again, COVID is not a flu virus. It's actually more comparable to SARS than anything else. So just, even though the symptoms are similar, please don't fall into, I guess, that information gap that this is just the flu. It's not. Any questions on that? And we'll get, as we get more information, I'll keep you guys updated on the progress that Suffolk County is going through to get faster, better testing. All right, PPE supplies. Let's go ahead and go to Mr. Spain, who's going to give us an update on locally developed PPE supplies.
Can you hear me again?
Yep.
Okay. I am joining a meeting and a presentation on Monday morning with the owner and of the company of the device that I was talking about that's local. So I'll have more information after that. So I'll kind of tap everybody in after I get quite a bit more information after that presentation. So
excellent. All right, excellent. We'll talk about that next time then.
Let me also on the Clean Smart cleaner that we discussed, that stuff's fantastic. We haven't had any problems with it. You can order that on Amazon. I think I told you guys that a local person owned that company as well. I believe that company is actually going to be sold here pretty soon, but it's definitely FDA approved. It works great. It doesn't injure or injure your skin, which is a big deal with us, or do anything to any of our equipment or furniture. We've been pretty happy with it too. And it basically breaks down to saline. So.
And you've been using that in place of
well, Yes, I had talked about that we were having difficulty getting Lysol and Microban. And Janelle, I don't know if you still are too. I mean, I'm about ready to pull my hair out of my head. Lord have mercy. Who in the world ever would have thought we'd have a Lysol shortage on this planet?
Can't find Lysol to sell my soul. So
no, literally, it's on the black market somewhere. I'm convinced. It's like prohibition for Lysol. So yes, we're using that in place of it. We're also using another product. I believe it's called Odor Ban, and it's bactericidal, fungicidal, germicidal as well. Contact time, depending on what you're doing, 60 seconds to 10 minutes, depending on exactly what you're trying to disinfect. But the other thing that I have a meeting about is actually a device that you will use in your place of business. So I'm really I'm really actually looking forward to learning some more about that too. So.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for that. We'll look forward to the update next meeting on some of the local stuff that we can get for disinfectant or other PPE. All right. So one of the things we're going to kind of leave everyone on is really going to be, I guess, some of the focus of this group moving forward. We have at least 3 months together, and we want to, I think about COVID and what we can do to help prepare our small business community. Here we have a couple bullets here on like how to safely operate and organize social entertainment fitness industries. You know, I think that we can, there's some best practices we can share and come up with that are happening in those industries that we can utilize our network to get that information out. And also, what does 2021 look like? What's so interesting is coming into this, really coming into this group, it felt like we beat COVID for a while. Like we really had the numbers down, and we thought that because COVID comes from the same family of viruses as the cold, that it might be seasonal and that it might go down for a while. So some of our policy discussions was, okay, well, what can we do to convince businesses to plan for, I guess, an increase in the fall, right? Like if it's a seasonal increase, then how do we kind of prepare for that? Well, we were just, not just us, but we were somewhat wrong, where it never actually went away. It just kept growing. So we now know this is a marathon, right? We're not going to get a break. So what does 2021 look like, and what can we do, you know, as a community, and also at the city side or the state? What can we do to try to sustain our small business community and really grow our economy to the best we can during what is the worst crisis we've had in over 100 years. So that's going to be, I think, some of the things we need to think about and you know, come forward on our next meeting to discuss. This is an agile list. This is, we need to be responsive. Like obviously when, okay, what are we going to do for the bump in the fall? Like that obviously changed, where we never came down from this bump. So we want to be agile with our policy and with our thinking, just like I think business folks are, you know, very responsive to changes. We need to do that with policy as well. So what we come up with or what we talk about might not actually, you know, might change as things change as well. So any questions on that? And again, yes, Amber.
So can we add something to the agenda for next time to talk about? So, you know, and I think this is pretty consistent, you know, having if we could get like a unilateral, you know, what do we do if we have you know, as a small business, you know, what do we do if we have an employee that has COVID, that has tested positive for COVID? Because it's not the same across the board. And so it's been real challenging to, you know, like we had to shut down for a couple of weeks because we had, you know, we had participants that ended up being positive with COVID. So, you know, it wasn't the same, you know, across what other organizations are doing. So it'd be really helpful if we could get a little bit more guideline on, you know, what it is that we're responsible for as business owners, as leaders of organizations and that kind of stuff. It would be helpful to have a more consistent, you know, here's what you need to do. I mean, I have to keep writing policies.
Right.
COVID. I'm sure everybody else does as well. But
no, that's brilliant. Let's do some research. Janet, can you also help me with getting some research done? I'm interested to know what standards are, right? Like, because we got a few things going on here. Like everyone thinks they know about COVID. We really don't, right? Like we're all still kind of learning about it. Everyone thinks they already know it all, like because they're on Facebook, right? Like if you're on Facebook, you know everything because of the memes. But with that, let's get a actual standard that's coming down from a reliable source. So if you're one of those businesses where someone tested positive, you can go and point to that source and say, we did everything right, so that you're not getting attacked on. Because there was I guess, kind of this like shaming thing happening on Twitter, and I was tagged in it, where these organizations tested positive, someone tested positive for COVID, and we don't think they did the right thing, let's out them. And, you know, what is the right thing? You know, what are we supposed to do? And also, I think most importantly, we don't want to we don't want to shame people for testing positive for COVID. Like, we don't want people to say, oh, I tested positive, I don't want to tell anyone because it's going to hurt my business. Or we don't want any bosses saying, hey, don't tell anyone because you're actually working, those few days while you're waiting for test results. So instead, let's figure out how to take this head on and figure out what the best practices are so that our business community can point to that and say, we did everything right. Like, let's define what right is. So that's
And
a
I think
really
you
good point.
also have to define what it means to have direct contact, because depending on who you are, and we used, we looked at a bigger business for direct contact and what does that mean to have direct contact and secondary contact, and it just isn't the same everywhere. The CDC has something, but doctors have something else, and when I had to go get tested, I stood in line for 4 hours at 5 a.m. to get tested. And there just wasn't any, consistency. They said, you tested negative, but you still can't go back to work for 14 days.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
no,
you're right. Let's figure that out a little better. And also, you're right too, where we're told contact tracing is within 6 feet of someone for 10 minutes or longer. Does that include having a mask on? Like, if we both have a mask and we're within 6 feet away, like, you really can't get this. And so, let's try to figure out what the updates are. And by the way, masks, both people have masks on. You can get this if you're wearing a mask and someone is dropletting all over you. Anyways, that's a good one though. Let's Janet's taken a note, and so have I, which means that we can get to our health experts and hopefully.
Brandon, I would echo that with Amber is, because every business is different from what standards that business put in place. Could be different than a business that's in the same industry and vice versa. They could be doing different standards. So it's based on what is your business doing to keep your customers safe, your employees safe, those sort of things. I think it's going to depend.
And also, I wonder if there's some type of like certification or some type of like sticker you can put on a window. Like, is there, in America, we love accreditation, right? We love, like, we have this standard. And you slap that in a window so everyone knows we're better than everyone else. Like, I wonder if there's like a COVID type, where this industry or this small business has taken the trainings and they understand that they're going to uphold to this standard.
So we're part of a franchise, and our franchise required all of us to go through training before they would allow us to, actually take payment for membership dues. We had to officially say we went through this training that they had for us before they would allow us to operate and open back up again.
Right, and I think that the cosmetology industry really kind of, I don't know if they made it where everyone has to do this one training or else you'll be kicked off, but they offer those type of trainings. I started seeing my friends on Facebook or cosmetologists are posting up their COVID certification. So I mean, stuff's out there. So let's figure out while we go through this, are the industry specific stuff that we should be promoting, and also what's kind of like the standard medical policy. And I got some friends who are medical doctors as well, so I can reach out to them, say what they think, but also see what's out there on the government side as far as CDC. Is there a standard that we should be implementing? And I think it's important because then it gets us all on the same page. So
I want to throw in there real quick that most industries that are organized have their own set of protocols. Like Jacob was referencing, probably the health industry has its own. I know the restaurant industry does. Definitely don't try to rewrite what they've already written because you'll get pushback. And we know they're actively involved in politics and government, so they probably will write the book. They already have written the book, actually. And there are some certifications that exist that reference the idea of like how to do a safe, in food service, for example, KRHA, the Kansas Restaurant and Hospitality Association, has the Serve Safe protocol, which I'm sure will be enhanced to add coronavirus related, conversation. But quite honestly, all the protocol they have in place for that already exists, with the exception of adding like face masks. And that's more like guided by state or city and county policy. So I encourage people to reach out to the associations if you're not already a member. A lot of them are letting you in for free just so you can have access to the right protocol.
Excellent. Yeah. And let's try to share those too. If anybody kind of comes up with, what the policy is for their industry, let's see if we can bring that forward, I guess, because, as Andrew said, maybe not everyone has access to the membership because maybe they assume it takes a fee. And but yeah, I mean, the goal is to come up with a standard that's based on medical science that will get us all on the same page, so that we're doing our best. And that standard shouldn't be something, I guess, that one of us just kind of makes up, right? Like we should be following something that was designed by experts. I mean, that's my opinion at least. All right, so we'll let you guys off. Like I said, we usually get.
Hey, Mayor Whipple, can I answer one more thing for the next time? What's the city's perspective on giving assistance to fully shuttered industries or those that are severely impacted? Like I'm taking music venues specifically right now because that's where I'm at, but I know there's some other bars and restaurants that are seeing these massive revenue losses as well, and other businesses in general. We're seeing cities across the country start to allocate funds for relief for these industries, especially for venues in particular. The most recent one was Oklahoma City. They just created a $2 million grant program for music venues that are fully shuttered. And to be quite frank, nothing that's been discussed on this call is going to help venues right now. We're reliant on a national reopening. So, being able to go outside with some patio chairs isn't going to really help us book acts that, are going to draw a couple thousand people. So yeah, I would just like to bring that up. I mean, there's examples: Denver, Cleveland, Nashville, Austin, Seattle, Louisville, the whole state of Oregon. They've set up funds that actually are going to help people get through this. It's not short-term relief as being implemented by the Sparks program currently. It's long-term relief that'll get them through the crisis. We're looking at a mid-2021 reopening probably. So we're, going to be 12 to 18 months with no revenue and 100% of our bills. So, and I think this extends past music venues specifically. And I think there's going to be a lot of really big cliffs that are quickly approaching a lot of people that we need to be fully aware of. And again, some small permitting things aren't going to help them. So I want to be frank and be honest and throw that out there as something we probably should start a discussion on and have as an agenda item. So, yeah.
So, and I'll just follow up with that. We don't have any money for that.
Right? So nobody does. Nobody.
Oh, no. But there is money. And let me tell you where it comes from. It comes from the county. So
cool.
We got to get the county to I think look into those type of programs. So the county got the CARES Act money. The cities you mentioned are big enough where they would have gotten CARES Act money. We're not. So when we talk about and CARES Act money was based off population, and when we talk about CARES Act money, that can go to like rent or can go to I think kind of backfilling some of the stuff that businesses are still paying even though they're closed. We really got to have a conversation with the county. One of the things with the county is their consultant, to my understanding, doesn't think they can do some of the stuff with that money that other counties have done. Douglas County is very interesting because they closed down all the bars the same time they did mass, and they have some type of program that is actually getting, I think, relief to the bars. But I do want just to point out that the city, it's very important to think about the CARES Act money and how the CARES Act money was allocated. It was allocated based on population. Wichita didn't meet that because we're about 300,000 folks. Our county did, and then the county is supposed to distribute to take care of, I guess, Wichita. But a place like Austin and Denver, they would have been big enough where their city would have got access to that money. So yeah, and I don't mean to say, hey, we don't have the money, like as if like it's not prioritized. It's really, I think, the allocation of the CARES fund. And well, what can we do now to encourage the county to be looking into that type of that type of relief. But I mean, you're right.
We agree with the county and the state is that across the country they are holding on to the money because they're not sure if there will be another round of CRF funds to the states and the counties, and so they're working actively to try to get restrictions lifted so they can keep the money to make up for their budget shortfalls. Hence the reluctance to distribute the funds.
And that's terrible. I'm sorry.
That's happening, and that's and at the same time, there's posturing going on in DC. There's no relief coming from there, so you have businesses all over the country and in Wichita and Kansas as a whole that are facing some real serious cliffs. There's no relief coming from anywhere right now. So whatever we can do to utilize the weight of the city of Wichita, specifically in Sedgwick County, but in Kansas as a whole, to get funding to the businesses that need it through the CRF fund, that if you read the guidelines, it fully says it can be used for business interruption grants. It's not real complex. So it's political gymnastics that are happening, and it's because they want to keep the money. So whatever we can do, and I think that needs to be an item that's on this agenda, because it's very important to a lot of people.
And sorry, I'm getting waved. I gotta get to this other call. But that's really, you're hitting on a lot of my frustration. Really, is this is a global pandemic. This is national. Like, the states and the cities were not designed to handle a global pandemic, and we don't have the budgets for that. We have to balance our budgets. We had to cut $30 million out of the next 2 years here in Wichita. We need DC to do some stuff. We're going to need DC to help out, and to have programs that, like you said, are doing what they were intended to do. Where if you're hanging on to the money at the county level because you think it might help you backfill your budget, the risk is you have to send that back. That risk is like, what if it doesn't? And now you have to send that back. You're sending back $500 million that could have gone out to help really our struggling economy stay afloat till we get a vaccine. So we had a choice, and this just kills me because I get frustrated with this, because at the local level, mayors all across the country really had a choice when what they were going to do when trucks didn't start rolling in with supplies from the feds, right? Like, when this didn't turn into a Will Smith movie where everyone just put aside the differences and we focus on the greater good. And our choice is to take this head on. And I think mayors have done a really good job with that. The thing that sucks is, like, I need a hammer and he gave me a rock, right? Like, I'm trying to build an entire freaking house here and they won't give me the hammer. Like, so you're smashing a nail with a rock or a stone, and we don't have the right tools for this. We're doing the best we can, but we're going to need more. I'm with you on that. Let's talk about this more next meeting, because Janet is very upset with me and I'm not getting on my next meeting right now. Good points though, and I am 1,000% aware that Wichita, we as a city, there's not enough we can do that's going to get everyone through this. Like, we have to also work with the county government, with the state government, and with our federal delegation to try to get us all through this. I just also want to make sure we're creative with our tools. And it gives me more when I can go talk to the governor, talk to other folks, and cite what you guys tell me, than it is like my idea as a politician. It weighs a lot more when I say, or I can talk about Amber's story or Jacob's story. So, sorry, we'll get there. Very good feedback. I know we got to be doing more. And
I know you guys have a huge monumental task, and I don't want to come across as crass or anything, but I just want to, talk frankly about what's happening in our industry. And, we all appreciate the work y'all are doing. I don't want to come off as, being petulant, but, there's just a lot going on that isn't being discussed. I think it needs to be discussed,
No, and we got to have real talk. I mean, That's the point of this. It's not like, I'm not here to pat myself on the back, right? Like, we did this, isn't that great? Like, no, we need results. We need real talk. We need points on the board. That's what I'm in this for, is getting points on the board. I don't care how I get there. So I get it. And this is the place where you can have that direct, chairs outside is great, but we really need rent money, and okay, let's talk about that. Like, this is the place where you can have those conversations. This is real. This isn't for show. We want real results. So I appreciate that. And I also can't imagine what you guys are going through. to have a business plan and business model and have it interrupted by a once in 100-year pandemic like this that didn't go away when we thought it was going to go away in the summer. So yes, yeah, keep it real pretty much with these talks. Like, don't keep it coming. We got to work together and have serious conversations about this. But let's all right, I'm sorry, I got Janet right next to me. I got to get to my next thing. Let's have this conversation next time as well, and we'll add this to the list, and I'll keep you guys posted. I'll also, I guess, figure out what else the county's doing as far as small business relief, because I think they're making some moves. Thanks, guys.
Thanks all.
Thank you. See you, everybody.
Thank you.